Welcome back, NYC Fragrance family. Top 10 list. Full designers. You know, I like doing these lists, and I know a lot of people like to watch these lists. The only part of doing these lists for me is the editing part, because I like to put the names in and do certain things and change some things, transition, so on and so forth. And that does take a little bit of work, especially if you're not a videographer, somebody that knows how to do this stuff really quickly. You know, as I've gotten into this whole YouTube thing, plus this, I've been learning as I go along, you know, using different applications, different programs, so on and so forth, to try to make my video quality and experience better than it had, you know, better and better as it goes along. Anyway, at least I'm trying to make that effort, and that's about the best anybody could do, right? So, fall designers for 2021. So my list is maybe a little more obscure than some people, and I'm ranking them based on Fragrantica ratings, because for me to give it 1 through 10, these 10 fragrances, all of them, you know, for me could be number 1, could be number 10. You've heard me say that before. So I let the ratings at the time that I was putting my list together on Fragrantica at that time be the judge. And the ranking and the order of this may surprise you. Some fragrances are very familiar and some fragrances are a little obscure or not talked about much, but are fragrances that I may have talked about or I may have introduced in previous videos. At number 10, a recent acquisition of mine. I got just about every fragrance in this line now. It got a Fragrantica rating of 3.85 out of 5, which is respectable. Usually, to me, 4 or better is the better rankings. This is almost there. And it's by Hugo Boss, Boss Bottled by Night. Or Boss Bottled Night. Sorry. Boss Bottled Night. It has a very dark gradient blue bottle. It's maybe hard to pick up in the camera, but through the light I see the blue. Boss Bottled with a little deeper, richer vibe to it. And like the name says, nighttime version. So if you like Boss Bottled and the Boss Bottled DNA, and you want something for a date night or nighttime, fall fragrance for the most part, Boss Bottled Night is my recommendation. Number 10 spot. At number 9, a house that I have many fragrances from that I really, really enjoy, that I have recommended in the past, represent great value for the quality. With a Fragrantica rating of 3.97, almost a 4, Lalique L'Insoumis. This fragrance just is a creamy, sweet, woody, gentleman fragrance. Very unique. You probably won't have anything in your collection that smells like it. You may have not smelled anything that smells like it, and for the value that it brings, it's well worth it. My recommendation, number 9 for the fall, Lalique L'Insoumis. Now we get into fragrances that did break that 4 out of 5 barrier. This fragrance got a rating of 4.1. Not a house that I hear a lot of people talking about, but I have collected a good amount of their fragrances. Probably, I'd say 80% of what they put out. From the house of Nino Cerruti comes Bella Notte. Translation, beautiful night. Now if you look at the bottle, it's got this gradient blue. It's basically, to some degree, Nino Cerruti's take on a blue fragrance, but it has that something more that makes it a blue fragrance for the nighttime. 4.1 out of 5 is a pretty good rating if you ask me. You know, this is the people on Fragrantica. Like I said before, anything that gets a 4 or better usually is something pretty good, or at least serviceable. This one here at number 8, Cerruti Bella Notte. Now I'm pretty sure this one's going to surprise you that it only just barely edged out that last fragrance that you probably don't hear much about. This one got a 4.2 out of 5. And I would probably put this at number 1 because I really thoroughly enjoy this fragrance. And this fragrance is the fragrance that's synonymous with Justin Copeland from Stay Fresh Productions. From the house of John Varvatos, Vintage. I mean, this is just a masculine, banging scent. It's just got sweetness, it's got woodiness, it's got spiciness, it's just oozes masculinity. It's just so smooth, elegant. The price point, ridiculous for this fragrance. You could put this, if this was a niche brand putting this in a bottle, they'd get $300 for this fragrance. Probably make it with an extrait de parfum, which will last longer, but I don't think the price, you know, to go a 10 times markup is probably not value centric. This right here, just respray. That's all I'm gonna say. But coming in at number 7, just edging out Nino Cerruti's Bella Notte, comes as a little bit of a surprise to me when I did this list. I thought this would be much lower in the list. So at number 7, John Varvatos Vintage. At number 6, barely edging out John Varvatos with a 4.22, 4.22 out of 5. This is becoming a staple. This will always be a staple in my fall fragrance rotation designer-wise. You know, it was like love at first sniff. It was one of those fragrances, and I still say the best one from the line. From the House of Azzaro, Wanted by Night. There you got that revolver chamber cap, which is synonymous with the Azzaro Wanted line. This fragrance is just, I'd say, a perfect fall fragrance. It's got spiciness, it's got sweetness, it's got a richness. It's got all the qualities that you look for in a fragrance for the fall. It's a compliment getter. It lasts long. It comes in at a good price if you get it at discounters. You've heard it talked about by many reviewers time and time again, and for good reason. At number 6, with the 4.22 rating, Azzaro Wanted by Night. The next one just edging out that Azzaro Wanted by Night that had a 4.22 with a 4.24. Just barely edging it out. So that's, you basically last 3 fragrances are almost identical in score, or very, very, very close. This one I also recently added to my collection. Took me a while. I know I don't know what took me so long to add this one, but I'm glad I did, and I look forward to wearing it in the fall. From the house of Paco Rabanne, 1 Million Lucky. You guys know this has been talked about as sexiness in a bottle. A pure, sexy fragrance. And I have to agree with that. It's got this definite seductive quality that will draw in your significant other. That sweetness. It's just one of those cuddle scents. It's definitely, if you leave a trail walking by, it will give you that impression of oozing sexiness. It just does have that thing that everybody's been talking about, and I now get it now that I've smelled it more than once and I've been testing it. It is a very well made fragrance. So at number 5 for the fall, Paco Rabanne 1 Million Lucky. At number 4, getting a 4.3 rating. See, the ratings aren't that much different. So I mean, it is higher obviously, but not by much. The last rating was a 4.24. This is a 4.3. And again, this fragrance house shows its face in this list again. From the house of Azzaro, Pour Homme Intense. This is one of those fragrances that's signature of me. You know the channel, you know me, I like these older style gentleman, fougere, barbershop, aromatic fragrances. This one here takes that kind of fragrance genre, adds this slight touch of sweetness, beautiful spiciness, and why I got this little bottle, I have no idea. I should have gotten a bigger bottle. But at number 4 on this list this year, Azzaro Pour Homme Intense. At number 3, a fragrance that just captured me from first sniff. It was a blind buy, and I don't regret blind buying it. You know, all the talk about it, everything that I heard about it, the type of fragrance it is, again, in my wheelhouse, from the house of Cartier, Pacha de Cartier Parfum. This is just rich. That spiciness, the cloves, creaminess, the longevity, the scent bubble that it creates. This is something that once it gets a little cooler, I'm gonna love wearing. And I already, as you can see, I mean, man, maybe you can't, but a little bit of that came out from when I first got it till now. You know, this is pure elegance at a great price. That's all I'm gonna say. That's why it's at number 3, and for good reason. The Fragrantica ratings, like I said, was a 4.39 for this one. That's pretty solid if you ask me. We're getting closer to a full 5. And I don't think there's anything on the list with a 5, but once you get to the 4.5 territory, you pretty much have yourself a fragrance that some people call a 10 of 10. In the house of Cartier, Pacha de Cartier Parfum. With a Fragrantica rating of 4.41, the number 2 fragrance, which I also added after I bought the newer iteration of this and was able to get this iteration, from the house of Dior, Dior Homme, the 2011 version. This is the one that's waxy, lipsticky virus. You get that word virus in your head so much, right? Lipsticky iris, waxy, unisex vibes, the metrosexual version. See, for me, I really enjoy it, and I see that this is it deserves to be acclaimed as it is and talked about as it is. And I see where the line gets drawn between this and the Dior Homme 2020, and I understand that there's people on this side of the fence and there's people on this side of the fence. They're not the same fragrance at all. Dior Homme 2020 is the guy with suit and tie modern era, and this is the guy with suit and tie 10 years ago. So, hate it, like it, 2020's version to me is still a very good fragrance. 2011's version is, of course, world-class, you know, Hall of Fame style fragrance that every reviewer has in their list or talks about at least at some point. And it's hard to be a collector or a reviewer and not have Dior Homme 2011 in your collection. It's just a staple and something you should all have. So number 2, Dior Homme 2011. At number 1, with a Fragrantica rating of 4.46, almost a 4.5, comes a fragrance that this line produces some of the best office scents, freshest, clean bar of soap type feel, but this one just makes it a little more interesting and becomes a fall staple. From the house of Prada, Prada L'Homme Intense. Prada L'Homme Intense takes the original Prada L'Homme with that clean, fresh feeling, soapy feeling, adds leather to it, makes it darker, makes it richer, makes it a little more interesting. Now again, this is perfect for the fall weather when it cools down. It's also perfect for date night. It's also one of those scents that will draw in your significant other. Compliment getter, long lasting, excellent fragrance. From the house of Prada, Prada L'Homme Intense. So that's my top 10 designer list for fall 2021. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found some value. Hope you found some fragrances that you don't usually hear about. So, new viewers, thank you for stopping by. New subscribers, thank you for joining the NYC Fragrances family. And my NYC Fragrance family. From the bottom of my heart, appreciate all the support and keep coming back, and I'll keep making my videos. And until the next time, remember, if you smell good, you feel good. Have a nice day.